Yes, hello, I am James Rowlands, and today it's the WNR409. It's Impact No Surrender. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, the rumours are true, because today it is the return of the Ultimate One. How you doing, man?
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? I know I've been in hiatus for a couple of months, and this is I think we spoke before, Bound for Glory. I've been busy, very busy, man. Just catching up with all this wrestling stuff going on. I like with how the wrestling scene started this year. In my case, I've been interviewing a lot of wrestlers in the indie scene, so I've been busy, man. Busy, real busy.
Well, like I said,
how's everything? I missed you, bro.
I know, I miss you too. Like I said, you're still part of Team WNR as always. Like I said, unbelievably, your last show was a Halloween special. So you say you've been, what have you been up to? I see a lot of pictures with important wrestlers, people like Will Ospreay and stuff like that. So you have been enjoying yourself with your time off.
Yeah, I mean, not only I've been doing a lot of podcasts, covering what I do every week, but I made my return to the House of Glory up here in New York City, which is a indie company which is owned by Master P, the rapper here in California, and they always bring a lot of talent. I think when I started going again, I believe it was November, where they had the Will Ospreay versus Amazing Red. I got the honor to take a picture and meet Amazing Red. Amazing Red and Will Ospreay.
Wow.
Will Ospreay, this is I believe was like 2 months before his Wrestle Kingdom match. That was cool. Then the following month, I got to go to, what did I see? Actually, the following month, I got to see the House of Glory Women's Tournament. They had Deonna Purrazzo. They had Jordan Grace. They had, who else they had there? I know it was Deonna Purrazzo. That's the reason I went. Mercedes Martinez. So that was cool. Matter of fact, this month, I got to go again to House of Glory, and they had Jay White. That was an honor because I'm a Bullet Club mark, So just to meet Jay White, cool dude, man. It's just like, you could tell that he doesn't. He'll let you know right then and there. If you start acting like a mark and getting all crazy and whatnot, he'll let you know, hey, calm down. So he was real cool. So now I think next month they'll have they're gonna have a match between Lucha Bros versus the Briscoe Brothers, and you guys can catch that on Fight TV because they do have House of Glory. They have the show on Fight TV. But let me tell you something. That's I believe a small end of promotion. They've been around for a while. That's gonna be the one that's gonna come out of nowhere. It's gonna surpass, I think, a lot of these little other indie shows because I'm telling you that it's been crazy. Since I've been going since 2019, they always have a good show. They had this month they had Jay Lethal versus Low-Key out of nowhere. A couple of the month before that, Eddie Kingston showed up. And they had Buddy Matthews. I also got to meet Buddy Matthews also. So, and I've been busy, man. And then also dealing with ECPW, which is another small promoter up in upstate New York. I'm very cool with the promoter there. So I had interviews with the viral champion in that company and the world champion, the company. I also am planning to have a interview with Steve Mack, hopefully next week if everything goes well. So I've been doing a lot of stuff. I'm doing a lot of stuff. It's overwhelmed. When I tell you it's overwhelmed. But it's just the love for the business. I'm still able to sit down and catch up with AEW and all the crazy stuff that's going on. And right now, before I got on, I just I was downloading my YouTube video that I'm going to put up later on. So I've been very active on YouTube. I put a video every week, and so I'm trying to get very active, get my brand out there, But I miss my my UK people, what I'm saying, and definitely miss you and the WNR team, what I'm saying, and so But I told you once I'm good, we're definitely gonna have to catch up. Impact, so I got to see Impact Wrestling with the stuff that's been going on the last 2 months, and it's been good. And we're gonna be talking about the No Surrender pay-per-view. So I got a lot of things to say about it.
Well, like I said, again, we're just listing off what you've been up to. I'm glad that you have got time to do the podcast here today. And like I said, we are going to catch up all on Impact Wrestling with Hard to Kill and No Surrender. But first, thoughts on Bound for Glory. Because like I said, looking back on last year, the amount of shows we did about Impact Wrestling leading up to the kind of big show, which was Bound for Glory. And there was a lot of disappointment at my end, but I think especially yours. So from Bound for Glory last year to Impact to the end of the year, what kind of turned you off the product, so to speak?
Well, I for one, the thing that really got to me was the fact that they took the belts away, the tag team belt, the woman knockouts, from Decay. Even though, we make fun of Decay because they open up shows and all this. But when you bring in a tag team that was signed by WWE, who, in my view, it's just my opinion, maybe a lot of people won't agree with me, I felt that the Inspiration, I think that's the name now, did not deserve a title shot at Decay. I felt like, okay, you got a bunch of other tag teams in there, female tag teams, even though they don't have a lot of female tag teams, but you're bringing in someone that used to be in WWE, so you're going to go and bring this tag team in without being the number one contenders, and you bring them and put the titles on them. That was a turnoff because I felt like Impact was trying to, I guess, show everybody, oh, look, WWE didn't know how to work with them, so look what we did. We gave them the belt. So that was a turnoff. And then the biggest turnoff was the Josh Alexander situation. Now, I understand that Moose won a tournament, whatever it was, I don't know how many men was it, but he won something called contract, make your call, whatever. But I felt that Josh Alexander winning the world title after he being the hottest wrestler in 2021 for Impact, with all those great matches he had with TJP. We could go on with all the wrestlers he fought and beat. For you to do that, have this man beat Christian, and then take the belt away from him minutes afterwards was the biggest turnoff to me, because it's like, okay, this guy worked his ass off to get to where he was. He gave his belt the option C. He gave his belt, the X Division belt, because no one could beat him. And then here you go and take the belt to put it on Moose, on a guy who was hot in the beginning of the year when he teamed up with Rich Swann and I forgot the other guy from Motor City Machine against Omega and the Good Brothers. And me and you talked about it when I said Moose is the hottest thing going on. And instead of them pushing Moose, they didn't push Moose after he lost to Omega. They had him lose to Chris Sabin. And I think not once but twice. He was losing to all these guys. He lost, I think, to Tomohiro Ishii in New Japan. So he was losing to all these guys, and all of a sudden now you got this guy in some type of battle royal or whatever. He wins the stuff, and then instead of having him wrestle Josh Alexander the following pay-per-view or whatever, the Impact Plus that they do every month, they had him beat him minutes after he just beat Christian. And to me, that was a turnoff. And then the follow-up after that made it worse, because now Josh Alexander is no longer with Impact because they didn't sign him. He didn't sign. So
this is, like I said, I'll just stop there because this is the interesting thing. So we got to the end of it because obviously with Kenny Omega involved in Impact got us interested, and then people like Josh Alexander was there. And like I said, I was annoyed with obviously Moose winning, especially after the kind of, like I said, momentum drop that he had. But then you're thinking 2022 is the year for, Josh Alexander to get back on a mountaintop, and it's going to be interesting. And there's no doubt 2022 has been interesting for Impact, so we're going to pick it up from that point, basically, the turn of the year. We got some news to start off the year as well, because my favourites, Rohit Raju, who, as you know, we've done shows, I think such a great heel. He is no longer with Impact Wrestling.
Yes.
Do you think they dropped the ball there? Because he could have done anything.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, Rohit Raju was to me one of the underrated guys. They didn't know how to. I mean, he was a X Division champion or whatever, and for them to let him go, I just like I said, I don't know what they're thinking, and maybe because they figure, well, you know what, we'll probably bring in somebody else that might be a little bit better, and we don't know what happens behind the scene. Maybe maybe they wanted to give him some type of contract a little better than what he wanted, and he didn't accept it. But I think they dropped the ball on him too. They've been dropping the ball for a while, and I don't know. They have picked up one individual. What we'll talk about that is pretty good, but you can't be losing. You can't be losing wrestlers if you're trying to build or take Impact out of the damn slums. Because every time, and you probably could agree with me, every time it looks like Impact is doing that curve, like they turn the corner, they go and do something the opposite, and then they're right back to the same spot.
Yeah, I think again, we never like to see people lose their jobs, but one of the people that have left Impact at the start of the year as well was Matt Striker, who, to start, well, I think I pointed out how annoying he can be. Matt Striker has left, and now we've got who I used to call Tom or Todd Phillips, going to come off like a conveyor belt, but Tom Hannafin has taken over as well. But I think that's a good move because, again, I don't think Matt Striker got what Impact was trying to be about.
Yeah, let me tell you something. Me and you make fun of Matt Striker. Matt Striker was always trying to give us a history lesson instead of concentrating on the match. I think that Tom Phillips or whatever he's called now in there, along with Ringwald, is a good, refreshing commentating team. I mean, even though I don't know, they did that whole angle with D'Lo, but then this new group now, I like Ringwald and I like Tom Phillips because if they more into the match, they make it more interesting. You don't have someone giving you a history lesson like Matt Striker did. Don't get me wrong, Matt Striker is a guy who's very well educated when it comes to the business, but I think this commentating group, honestly, Impact hit a home run by picking up Tom Phillips.
Well, like I said, and he was there to present the first pay-per-view of the year for Impact, Hard to Kill. I really like the setting as well. Felt different to a normal Impact, and it should do, considering I paid $20 for this. The first match on the card was the first ever 6-women Ultimate X match. Of course, Jordan Grace with Rose Michelle Scream, Alicia Edwards, Lady Frost, but Tasha Steelz won. I think Alicia sometimes can be so dangerous. Looks like she's trying to kill herself in a wrestling ring. But this match didn't stop. I thought it was a really, really good opener.
Yeah, it was pretty good. But it goes to show you, I was happy that Tasha Steelz won that because it's something different. Eddie Edwards' wife, yeah, she was doing too much to my night, and she's not. You could tell she's green as hell and whatnot. And I think she should have been nowhere near that card. But I mean the whole X Division, the way they put it this way, for them to have a women's X Division that they never ever in their history ever had, and mind you that they had female wrestlers there for a while, was a cool thing. And then for Tasha Steelz to win it, I mean, I was happy with that. First of all, she's from my country, so I was happy for that. And but it's something different, and it shows that Impact is trying to do something different. So that was a good way to start. We didn't have no decay of starting a.
It did start. It did disappoint me a little bit, but like I said, great way to start the show. And then Macklin versus Trey Miguel for the title. Macklin showed incredible toughness in this, but Miguel became the first man to beat him. I think Forgotten No More after this. This has got to be one of my favourite feuds on Impact. It was just, Trey flying through the ring and jumping, and spears by Macklin as well. This was a great match and story.
Yeah, Macklin had impressed me a lot before I stopped watching Impact. I always thought that, what he brought to the table was pretty good. But Trey Miguel, this guy, when he wrestles, you're going to get a good match. Them two wrestling each other was a different style because Macklin's more of a ground and pound type of guy, when Miguel is usually doing, acrobats and, doing all these dives and all that. But this match, again, you could tell that Impact was trying to do something different. They started off with the X Division, Women's Division stuff, and then you throw in the Trey Miguel and Macklin match. It was pretty good. I like what, of course, I like what Miguel brings. I think he was a smart move for him to stay with Impact. And Macklin, again, this guy, he's going to go places if Impact knows how to use him. You know what I'm saying? They keep up with, his attitude, whatever. But it was a good match. I like it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, without doubt. Then we get the voice of the Ring of Honor commentator Ian Riccaboni and the Crews for the Ring of Honor World Championship match, which Jonathan Gresham defending the great Chris Sabin fought under Ring of Honor pure rules. We see a series of pins reversal give way to Gresham bridging over Sabin and scoring the victory. Of course, I watched the early days of Ring of Honor, but not much since, I would say, probably Tyler Black's era, which has been a long time. I have seen Gresham on New Japan Strong. I thought the commentary did a great job as well trying to explain it. The fans maybe weren't as into it because of nice exchanges as well. But have you seen more Ring of Honor, obviously, more recently than I have?
Yeah. I mean, Ring. When it comes to Ring of Honor, I mean, I didn't watch every week, but I kept on top when it came to their pay-per-views. So as far as Jonathan Gresham, this guy, for his size, he has shown how good he is. I mean, and Jonathan Gresham, especially when Ring of Honor last, I think a year and a half ago, they brought back the pure title, and they brought that, only that grappling wrestling. Jonathan Gresham has gone to another level. This guy, he's that good. And then you get in the ring with a guy like Chris Sabin, who's a big, he's a guy's a legend in Impact. And you bring in that veteran skill again. These two, I mean, that match was pretty good, but I knew for a fact that Chris Sabin was not going to beat him because Jonathan Gresham, wherever he goes, this guy is a masterful. He can reverse anything, but he's more into that pure wrestling where, you can only grab the ropes 3 times. After that, there's no rope break. So that it's pretty good because that shows you when you got that type of wrestling, shows what the opponent could bring, if he's going to be able to get out of any technical hold that Gresham brings. But the guy, he's that good. He is that good. That match between them two was pretty good. That type of wrestling, I love that type of wrestling. Because it kind of reminds me of, Ring of Honor type wrestling, especially Sabin. Sabin used to be in Ring of Honor also. So, again, I was very impressed with the first 3 matches, how Hard to Kill started.
Without doubt. And then up next, Josh Alexander versus Jonah. Of course, Jonah arrived in Impact back at Turning Point, sent the message to the locker room, made an example of Alexander, and he dominated the match. Moonsault, leaving Alexander to get the ankle lock, and the big man tapped out. I mean, this had been a great build. We had a bit of sound problems during the match, which took away with the picture issues as well. But, I mean, Alexander flying into the crowd was terrific. This was a great match because Jonah, in defeat, still looked like a monster.
That guy is a monster. Let me tell you something. And Bronson Reed, how he was known at NXT, has become more famous now than when he was in NXT. Him being in Jonah, after what he did, when he introduced himself in New Japan Strong, and he ended up attacking, who was it, Juice Robinson?
Yep.
In a pay-per-view. And then he comes to Impact and attacks Josh Alexander. I mean, again, I think Josh Alexander should have had the belt at that time when these guys wrestle each other. You know what I'm saying? Because they would have made it more. I mean, don't get me wrong. The match between them was awesome. We're talking about there was some ground pound. I mean, you see a guy weighing 300-something pounds does move like Jonah does. It's incredible, And, it was more of a, David versus Goliath, even though, Josh Alexander, he's powerful, but Jonah right now is just ridiculous. This guy, even in defeat, he looks good.
Well, I'll tell you something as well, for people maybe strong, needs to go check out Badu, Tito, and Jonah versus, like I say, Finjuice, because it is an awesome tag team match. That Jonah himself is putting in performances, like I said, it's got this monster aura about him. Like, you just feel wherever he wants to go, whatever company he picks, he's going to be world champion there, you know?
Yeah, and listen, that's the guy that I feel should be the next world champion right now. Because he's that good. The guy, I'm like, this is why sometimes I scratch my head, like, how did WWE let a guy like that go? You know? And now he's well known. I don't know how much you have followed him, Jonah, and before he went to NXT, but when I first saw Jonah was in NXT, and I saw him, like, wow, this guy's pretty good. But now, this guy, if he doesn't win the Impact World title down the line this year, I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, no, completely. Some bit of good by Impact. And then up next, VBD and the Good Brothers versus Swan, Mac, Rhino, Heath, and Eddie Edwards. The rules were simple. It's for the hardcore war. Think war games without the double rings and the steel cages. Rhino delivered the gore. Heath pinned Anderson for the win. But after the match, Ring of Honor's Matt Tavern, Mike Bennett, Vincent, and PCO hit the ring and laid waste to the baby faces. Maria Kanellis joined them in the ring, standing tall to close out this shocking set. Going on. We've seen some great matches, and this one maybe wasn't the best. But then you get something like that happening afterwards, which kind of shook me because I thought, oh shit, I know what we're going to get here now.
Yo, I was happy. You know why I was happy? Because I was tired of seeing this damn Violent by Design, the Good Brothers against Rhino, and it's just like they've been doing this for the last couple of months, and then now you have something different. You know what I'm saying? Now, after the match, you had these guys from Ring of Honor just come in and attack. To me, it was great because I'm like, okay, this is something different. Like I said, the beginning from the pay-per-view to that point, it was like something different. I said, wow, Impact is really doing something different. And then to see Ring of Honor guys there, I was like, wow. So now Impact's going to be working with Ring of Honor. That's cool because, that will help Ring of Honor come back and they could use, they could have some type of working relationship since Impact decided not to work with AEW after being Bound for Glory, which was another head scratcher. So seeing this was it was good for me because I'm like, you know what? We're gonna see something different. This is the beginning of the year. Impact is moving to a good place right now. Let's see how they work around this. Watching PCO and then then finding out PCO signed with Impact. I don't know about the other guys, but I know PCO signed with Impact. It's a go move because the guy, even though he's 50-something years old, he still could do crazy stuff. You've seen it, so
yeah. Well, without doubt, like I said, and a real shocking moment in a pay-per-view kind of full of really, really good stuff. And in the Impact World Title match, Matt Cardona versus Moose versus Morrissey. All three started at an incredible pace. There was a lot of shenanigans going on where Cardona went into green and the ref. Distraction allowed Moose to deliver a lights-out spear for. We had Morrissey off the top turnbuckle through a table. Attitude Era, eat your heart out for this. This was just three guys, they're absolutely sacrificing everything.
Yeah. It was two guys that you probably won't expect, like if the normal wrestling fan who are critical to any little bullcrap that a WWE guy did, whatever. It was pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Mike Cardona right now, and I know a lot of people will agree with me, Mike Cardona is the hottest thing right now in wrestling. This guy's everywhere. This guy's, he just won the NWA title. So, for him being, at first when I saw it, I'm like, okay, he's getting a world title shot. I don't know, but he's been losing all these matches. So I was like, you know what? But at the end of the day, this is the comeback wrestler of the year to me, my knowledge, when I did my my year-end podcast about it, I felt that he was the comeback wrestler of the year because this is a guy who was not being used in WWE, made his debut in AEW. Now he was in Impact, was doing mostly intergender matches. And for him to get a title shot, I was like, okay, where's this going? But that match between them three, even though there was a lot of shenanigans, I did not expect Moose to lose. I knew something crazy was going to happen at the end of the match, but it was worth it. I wasn't disappointed. because then I knew that, I mean, yeah, I said either one of these two are going to get another title shot, and, Morrissey ended up getting the next title shot. But, it was pretty good. It wasn't bad. The pay-per-view itself, I mean, had me coming back to watch Impact weekly, because I'm like, okay, where is this going?
No, that's what I'm saying. And then the other pleasant surprise would be the fact that they Impact started the pay-per-view with a women's match, and it main evented the women's match with a Texas Death match for the knockout style of Mickie James versus Deonna Purrazzo. And I mean, these two, we saw a bag of thumbtacks, of course, with both going into it, a callback to WrestleMania 22. We see Ray Walt getting hit with a guitar shot as well. And of course, finally, the Mick kick putting Purrazzo down under plenty of plunder with James retaining the title. This went from straight up wrestling to hardcore, or country, I suppose. And Deonna looked like she despised Mickie. Both women beat the piss out of each other. Both bloody and beating with taking the thumbtacks. How Mickie survived the table, I'll never know. I thought this was a fantastic main event.
Yeah, it was a good match. I knew Mickie James was going to win because of the fact that she was announced to. At first, when they announced that she was going to come out the Rumble, I was like, well, I guess she's going to lose the belt to Deonna. But then they were like, oh, they named the Impact Knockout Champion. I said, well, I guess Deonna's going to lose. But it was a good match. I mean, it was surprising that they went that far. I mean, I'm like, but then again, remember, this is not the first time that Mickie James has been in a crazy match like this. Because I believe, if I'm correct, Mickie James and Victoria had their first women's cage match years ago in Impact and whatnot. So this is not her first rodeo in some hardcore. And trust me, that match, Victoria and her, a couple of years ago, that was brutal. It was thumbtacks were not taken out, but it was brutal. But these two, especially Deonna Purrazzo, I gotta give her credit for actually having this type of match, because the girl is a technical wrestler. She calls herself one of the best wrestlers in the world, which to me she is. But I was very surprised that they actually booked this match, and it was good. It was good. They had blood was spilled, and it was worth it. It was worth. The match was pretty good. So I'm kudos to Mickie James and Deonna Purrazzo for putting up that type of work in that match. I mean, thumbtacks, you got to be brave. You have to be brave, because I think Mickie James caught thumbtacks in the back. I'm not mistaken.
Like I said, straight there. Deonna with maybe her first blade job as well. But as you said, what a fucking show! It made you want to come back for. If they had delivered this for Bound for Glory, you and I would be sitting there going, "Oh, what an impact!" But it had to take, I guess, a fail in that show, and this felt 10 times bigger than Bound for Glory.
What's crazy is that I think this, besides, I believe it was Slammiversary was one of the best shows they had last year. Slammiversary and Rebellion was one of the two best shows that they had. For them to start the year the way they started now, I was like, wow, they probably turning the corner. Again, how I was online. You heard me online. You saw my post on Twitter. I'm not investing my time on Impact. They're going to play me again. But when I saw that they made the announcement between Jonathan Gresham and Chris Sabin, and then I said, let me watch this. And then I saw I was like, wow, they came out of the gate. Impact came out of the gate hard. And not to no pun intended, but it was, they came out hard out of the gate for this year. So, and so I had to follow up to see where it was going to go and where it was going to head. So, that's why I started watching weekly again.
Well, like you said, there's so much to like from this. I have rewatched it as well. Not one match I didn't enjoy. Everybody worked their ass off. We move on to Impact the 13th of January. Like I said, one of the matches that really caught my eye was AAA reigning defending champ Deonna Purrazzo defeating Ring of Honor's Women's World Champion Roxy in a winner-take-all match. Watch this match. Purrazzo, of course, is a double champion after making Roxy verbally submit. Roxy only 21 and really smooth. For the first time seeing her, really enjoyed it. But if you want to rebound from losing at a main event pay-per-view, then come back and become a double champion. And that is basically what it is. And Impact, I'm sure you agree, is kind of the king of a worker relationship. You know, because we've seen so much now. We talk about AEW and AAA, Ring of Honor, New Japan, of course. It's just they work, and WWE now, they can work with anybody.
Yeah, this match between Roxy and Deonna Purrazzo. Now, Roxy, I've seen her in Ring of Honor. She's pretty good. And the fact that her title reign was kind of short because she just won that belt, I think, on December. I think it was in December. I think she won the belt. And she's pretty good. She's only 21. I know that she had done some tryouts in WWE for NXT. I don't know if she's going to go there.
She has. Well, just she has been signed now. So I think WWE seen the talent.
Yeah, I think they did. But you know, she gave Deonna Purrazzo a run for the money. The fact that Deonna Purrazzo put her in that arm lock, they looked like her shoulder was gonna pop, and she didn't want to give up. I'm like, yo, that girl, I had to give her credit where credit is due. And I think the reason probably that she lost the belt was because she was already gonna sign with NXT. So, I mean, the fact they got Deonna Purrazzo with double belts and Impact makes it real interesting. Because don't be surprised if she does wrestle Mickie James again for that belt and becomes triple champion. Yeah, because you can't have Deonna Purrazzo with two belts and don't acknowledge the woman, and then you have the Knockouts champion, Mickie James. Was I'm not too happy with her walking around with that belt, but you're gonna have a championship match where everything goes. All those three belts are gonna be on the line. Right now, that's my prediction.
Well, like I said, we've got Rebellion coming up in April, which next pay-per-view. I would pay to see that match. Like you said, all three titles on the line would be great. But after the match, we saw Maria Kanellis-Bennett get in the ring and told Purrazzo she was taking those titles. The rest of the Ring of Honor Rogue surrounded Purrazzo. So Ray Wall jumped in defender, but the numbers game was a bit too much. Rich Swann and Willie Mack ran down for the save, but got laid out by the Ring of Honor group, who stood tall as the show went off the air. Like I said, really exciting times at this moment. Do you think this is the invasion angle people thought AEW would do with it last year opposed to what happened?
Great question, because I think, what Ring of Honor and Impact did as far as this invasion angle, this should have happened with AEW, because it's not like AEW couldn't use any of their dark performers or whatever Evolution, and you could have brought us a couple of guys and done some type of angle. They should have done that. This is the angle. I believe there's more to this Ring of Honor stuff. And don't be surprised, because I know Ring of Honor is supposed to be coming back in April with a Supercard of Honor. So don't be surprised you see Briscoe brothers show up at Impact, which will be incredible. Have them wrestle the Good Brothers. Man, let me tell you something. Impact, right now, Impact has the ball in their court, and they could run with this anywhere, James. I'm telling you, they could make – this is their 20-year anniversary. This is where you go, and you take this and run with it. And if you got to bring other people and work with other people, let it happen. But this Ring of Honor thing, I believe it's going to get bigger and it's going to get better.
All right. Well, Impact 20th of January, Josh Alexander beat Charlie Haas. Excuse me, we saw Charlie Haas come out during a promo segment with Josh Alexander leading to a match. He suffered a concussion during the match, was taken off with by a stretcher. He said he thanks everyone and the great Impact management, and said that Charlie Haas is not dead. It was good to see Charlie Haas, but a bit unfortunate about what happened.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised to even see Charlie Haas. I haven't seen Charlie Haas wrestle since 2012. So that was the last time he was teaming up with Shelton Benjamin as the world's greatest tag team, and he was in Ring of Honor at that time. It's nice to see someone who I know he had a lot of injuries, where I think mostly his knees, health-wise, whatever. I think he took a bad bump and he fell outside and he caught a concussion. But it was nice to see him and Josh Alexander have a good match. But we'll see if he comes back. I think it's probably a one-time deal, but we'll see.
I don't think the insurance on that. I don't think it's going to cover. Should we insure Charlie Holes?
It's like the Charlie Haas. How old is this guy? This guy's probably over 40. And he looked like he's trim. He's not in wrestling shape because that goes to show you. Boom, he got knocked out. He got pushed. He just got pushed and he ran down. He landed wrong. So remember, you haven't been wrestling for years, and now you taking a bump like that. And if you land awkward, there you go. You got a concussion.
Without doubt. Well, Impact 27th of January, we see Mickie James talk about the Royal Rumble and a chance to win and make history line in a champion versus champion match. Now, I know there's a lot of negativity about kind of how Mickie James left WWE, but I still think it was great for Impact to have her in the Royal Rumble match, even though she might not accomplish much in it, to still come out with a title and the Hardcore Country playing, I think still was a big moment.
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you here. As honest as I can be. So, I think when they made the announcement and all that about how coming out of WWE, I think, one, they were trying to push. WWE did them a favor by pushing. Remember, the pay-per-view was that weekend when they made the announcement. So, that was helpful for Impact because now you get the WWE fans to go watch Impact, which in a way is kind of a little bit crazy for WWE fans because then they could get hooked. So, I mean, we just talked about how great Hard to Kill was. How many of the people WWE fans actually probably went and saw Hard to Kill? They were like, wow, this is pretty good, right? But at the end of the day, it was more WWE needing more Mickie James because they were short of female wrestlers. And if you saw the Rumble, a lot of the Rumble was mostly divas, Now, was it good for Mickie James to come out the Rumble? Of course, because now she came out. They allow her to come out with the belt. Now, you couldn't use the word Impact. You couldn't use the word Impact during the broadcast of Royal Rumble. So, but yet, I mean, I wasn't expecting her to be there for 30, 40 minutes. I mean, she did very well. You knew she wasn't going to win the Rumble. I mean, but WWE could have been smart, right? They could have have Mickie James, and I don't know if you heard my other podcast during that time. I said, have Mickie James win the Rumble, and then have a three-way between, at that time, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, and the Knockouts champion, and that's a WrestleMania match. Yeah. Then you could actually say, well, yes, WWE is really working with Impact, and there is a forbidden door. But they didn't do that. Instead, they gave it to Ronda Rousey. The rest is history. I know Mickie James thinks that WWE could work with Impact again. I don't see it because I feel that WWE pretty much used Mickie James for their purposes because they were short of female wrestlers. At the same time, they help Impact because, it's telling their fans, look, take a look at this Impact wrestling, and some people may have gotten hooked. You don't know, but
what I found
maybe
interesting,
it's a win-win situation if you think about it.
Yeah, what I found interesting is that Mickie James accepted. The Inspiration said no. They said, look, we've left the WWE. We're trying to create our own thing now. Because the Iconics at the Rumble would have caused confusion, which I can stick by. Don't get me wrong. I understand what the Inspiration meant by that. I understand why Mickie James did it, So I still think, like I said, it works round to everybody in the end. Move on next. Impact February 4th. Kenny King joining Honor No More. And then the Bullet Club in action. Jay White, Tamatonga, Tangaloa and Chris Bay defeating Ace Austin, Madman, Fulton Speedball, Mike Bailey and Jake Something after the match. And Violent by Design jumped the Bullet Club. Both parties brawled until the Bullet Club was taken down. This was a really good main event. Of course, Impact's very entertaining. We've got the Ring of Honor thing. But when I say this is a proper Bullet Club, what do I mean by that when we finally get the, like we say, the Guerrillas of Destiny teaming up with, of course, Jay White on Impact?
Well, that we talked about this last year when Jay White first appeared at Slammiversary. They teased Kenny Omega versus Jay White. They teased it. So I figure, okay, so if Jay White is there, and then I believe Omega ended up losing the belt and then he was no longer an Impact. So I said, okay, so if you got Jay White there, then you should bring the Gorillas of Destiny. Instead, we had Jay White brought in Mr. Finesse himself, Chris Bay, and then they had Hikaleo. And then I'm saying, well, you know what? Bound for Glory is coming up. Why don't they bring the Gorillas of Destiny in, and then you have the Good Brothers versus the Gorillas of Destiny. Why did I say that? Because 2 months prior to that, the Gorillas of Destiny approached the Good Brothers at Resurgence at the New Japan show, and we were like, okay, here we go. It's going to happen. But I should have known, because one thing about New Japan is a long-term storytelling company. They're not going to give you that right away. The fact that then you saw the Gorillas of Destiny come in that episode of Impact and attack Jake something, I was like, okay, now we're gonna have it. Again, I said, wow, Impact is really, really, really coming out the gate. They had a great pay-per-view, Hard to Kill, and now you got every other week something crazy happening. I'm like, and I started saying to myself, wow, this is like back in the days when I used to watch Impact. So the fact that they brought in the Bullet Club and then they got attacked by Violent by Design, which it made sense because the Good Brothers and Violent by Design were working together as a group. And they said, well, they are the Bullet Club, let's take them out. It's a good way to start. But the thing is, to me, I was like, Jay White is a heel. He's not a babyface. So that part with Jay White, he's good at the mic, but I was like, okay, Gorillas of Destiny and Jay White, Bullet Club as babyface, nah. It's not going to work. But the story just itself of the Good Brothers versus the Gorillas of Destiny, listen, I've been dying to see this since August, where the Gorillas of Destiny emerged at the New Japan show and confronted them. And this has been going on for like almost a year, because after, Kenny Omega and Good Brothers started putting Bullet Club stuff up when they showed up at Impact, it's a year worth of a storyline.
Well, he said the match is so big to the Good Brothers that we thought maybe it happened at Bound for Glory. It happened at No Surrenders. It's got a huge matchup. A couple of bits of news stories as well. Lance Storm has joined Impact Wrestling, working on a gut check tryout, and also maybe produced that backstage as well. And then Impact February 10th, Josh Alexander has kicked off Team Impact, which, again, was a bit surprising, but we get onto that afterwards as we see the Bullet Club hit the ring to address the Impact fans and tag the tag team title match for Joe. Brought up the recent partnership with the Good Brothers. VBD, Eric Young, come down and basically setting the stage, challenging to a six-man tag next week, only for the Good Brothers, John and Frey, standing side by side by VBD. And we see an interesting back and forth as well, with basically no defender being confirmed. It's great to see Bullet Club, like I see Jay White and Mike. And then later we see Steve Macklin joining Team Impact. I'm not sure if we could trust him. And Moose destroying Morrissey with a chair. But I think the biggest news story, and we have talked about as well, was Josh Alexander announcing the end of Impact contract and work visa. Yes, the man Impact have been building up and putting all these challenges as well, whether it be Jonah or Charlie Haas or whoever it was, thinking we're going to see Moose versus Alexander, as actually his Impact contract has expired and his work visa as well. Now, we've both had very strong opinions. So, why don't you take the floor for this one and tell me what you think of this situation?
First of all, the situation, how they did it, first of all, I know he was doing a promo, and then they brought in Khan, who used to be part of the Ascension. They made his debut look bad. But the fact to me, it was like, okay, you knew the man's contract was coming to an end. Now, there is a situation maybe he felt like, well, you know what? I don't want to be here, one. Two, AEW is having the Owen Hart Memorial coming up in May, on May 11th, on the day of my birthday. And he did mention that he would love to work that tournament. Now, I don't know if there was a money issue, because Impact and Anthem are very cheap. I always say that they're cheap with money. I don't know what happened. Maybe they couldn't come to terms, or he just didn't want to be there. I was very upset when I first heard it, because I know February 15 was the day after Valentine's 14. He did mention that his contract was over. His work visa from Canada was also over, so he wasn't signed. So to me, it led me mind bubble, because I'm like, okay, so you just lose Josh Alexander. You just lose Josh Alexander, and the way he lost the belt, it doesn't justify the fact that why you didn't sign him. And if you want to give him a title, give him the title shot. And if he loses to Moose, then he could leave, and then, okay, he couldn't be Moose, and that's the end of that. But they didn't do that. So, I don't know. To me, I still say Impact dropped the ball big time for a guy who they were pushing for almost an entire year, okay? And then when he finally gives in his option C and he gets his title match against Christian, wins the belt, but the way he lost it was very dumb. It was WWE-ish way to do it. And I don't know. And knowing the history of Impact and what some wrestlers that had come out of there, especially Ethan Page, how they treat their wrestlers before they leave, whatever, is just, I don't understand. I think it's going to take a while before they'll have someone that has that type of wrestling skill and ability, and who could get over with the fans the way Josh was doing it. It's going to be a while. And that's going to make Moose title reign weak, because Josh Alexander should have got this title shot. That whole promo they did was worthless. And I think that was more of a shoot, because it sounded like it was a shoot. And then next thing you know, they do that. And then 3 days later, 4 days later, he's no longer with the company.
Yeah, it was weird. Like we talk about Scott D'Amore and Josh Alexander when he got kicked off the team. And as you said, look, we don't know what happened behind the scenes. We don't know if Josh Alexander wanted to stay or wanted to leave, or what the money situation was. But you would expect them to, whatever offer he wanted, I'm sure he's worth it. Especially, like you say, when the whole company has been kind of around what he's been doing. Especially at the start of the year. We've been waiting for him to get his rematch, and they've been putting other things in his way. And the way he did with the X Division last year. Like I said, my wrestler of the year, you would think they would do anything in their power to keep him. So it's just a really strange situation. It would be the equivalent of, I'd say even like someone like a Roman Reigns leaving WWE, because you just be like, it wouldn't make any sense. He was Impact through and and hopefully, like I say, if it's the Owen Hart tournament, wherever he shows up next, Josh Alexander's going to be a star, because he's a fantastic wrestler, there's no doubt about it. And it is a monumental loss for Impact, no matter what they try and do to kind of replace him.
But look, pretty much, and this is before he left. Pretty much, Brandy Rose pretty much told us where he's going. If you remember that before, a week before she left, or 2 weeks before her and Cody Rhodes left, she had a promo with Dan Lambert, and she said to Ethan Page, "I don't know what you laughing at. The only reason we signed you is to get to Josh Alexander." And that, I didn't put one and one together. I'm like, when she said that, like, Josh Alexander still signed with Impact, and they were doing this storyline where he was joining Team Impact to go to to wrestle against Honor No More. But then about 2 weeks later, he's no longer with the company. So I'm like, okay, shit, Brandy Rose pretty much told us where he's coming. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, whether he goes to AEW, I think he's coming to AEW for the fact, because they're going to have that Owen Hart tournament in May. And he did mention last year, when they first mentioned about Owen Hart's tournament, that he would love to be part of that. Because, being Canadian, that. But we'll see. I mean, wherever he goes, he's going to be a star anyway.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, we got on February 18th. It's an over-surrender, go-home show. The Moose contract signing, which ended with Morrissey appearing and wiping Moose off and delivering a massive chokeslam off the stage. It was a great-looking bump.
Yes, it was.
We see Kenny King versus Chris Sabin, with Sabin countering King's attempted counter to roll up for the pinfall. After the match, Maria Kanellis mockingly applauded Sabin and Team Impact and called into question whether they could trust each other. We see Jonathan Gresham, who's going to join the team, found knocked out, with Steve Macklin maybe the man to lay him out. And then we see Stills pinning James in tag action, which of course means she weren't going to win at the pay-per-view. And then a star-studded main event saw Bullet Club Switchblade Jay White and the Greatest Destiny battling Violent by Design. This was a fantastic match. Low-end Tanga flattening Dina with stereo splashes and Bullet Club scoring a win. And afterwards, the victory was interrupted by Goobs, who entered but stood on the ramp staring down their rivals as a final hump for the Impact Tag Team titles. It was good stuff, and No Surrender on paper looks great. A couple of real standout matches, but I would say the match maybe you're looking forward to the most would be Good Brothers versus the Gritters of Destiny. Would that be fair?
Yeah. That one, and then the Honor No More versus Team Impact. Well, the Gorillas of Destiny, of course, that's number one. But I like the way they did the Go Home show. It wasn't something predictable, because sometimes they do the Go Home show, you already know what's going to happen. You're like, okay, this is going to happen, blah, blah, blah. The Tasha Steele match, they did the tag team, and, I was surprised that she actually pinned Mickie James, and I'm like, wow, they just did a WWE move there. But I'm like, okay, so that means, like you said, that she wasn't going to beat Mickie James, which I was like, oh, boy, here we go. But the go home shows, and like I said, go home shows usually are not that good, And like I said, those 3 weeks that I saw these shows and they set up for No Surrender, it was perfect. I can't believe I'm even saying this.
I can't believe perfect. You are. I'm really
They were perfect because it was like the part that Kenny King came out of nowhere. I didn't expect him to join them. The Steve Macklin thing, I'm like, and then I saw why, because they had tagged Steve Macklin. And I'm like, okay, they tagged Steve Macklin, so where they going with this now? And then the thing with the Josh Alexander, I think that was the most disappointing one for me. As far as I knew he was gone and he was not coming back. But even overall, it's like they figure, well, Josh Alexander is not going to be with us. Who's going to replace him? They bring in Steve Macklin. Macklin, a guy now, you don't know if you could trust him or you don't. Yeah, it's type of, to me, I always say when I see this with wrestling, when you're bringing a guy, you don't trust him, something's going to happen where somebody's going to betray you, but it's someone you at least expect. And, the rest is history. So we could get to No Surrender.
Well, without a doubt, and like I said, we're going to go to No Surrender right now. We started down with a countdown to No Surrender. Of course, Matt Rydwald and Tom Hannigan in commentary. We saw Trey Miguel versus John Scott. It was weird to see the X Division champ on the pre-show, but Trey has a personal situation. Not a bad match with John controlling the pace, but Trey 619 in Meteora to win. We'll find out who his challenger is later. Then we had Tennille Dashwood versus Havoc. Story's more about Caleb with a K getting a call for the inspiration, leading to distraction and a win for Havoc. We get a main show with Chapel Hart singing Star Spangled Banner. Makes you proud to be an American watching stuff like this.
I don't know. They were out of beat.
You got to say it. I don't want to be anti-American.
Let me tell you something. I can say it because I'm an American, but that shit was out of tune. I was like, what the fuck am I looking at? I'm like, oh, my God. Even my daughter was watching. She's like, they're trying too hard to hit that long chord. And I was like, okay, I don't know what. And I don't know, are they the only wrestling promotion that does that? They still do the Star Spangled Banner? I don't know. Anyway, we'll leave that alone.
Like you said, the performance was different, I put.
Horrible. Listen, I'm an American, I'm going to say it. They was horrible.
Right. Well, nice opening promo video. We are live, of course, in New Orleans. Up first was Bullet Club's Chris Bailey, inevitable Ace Austin, Jake Summit, Speedball, Mike Bailey in a shot at Trey Miguel's X Division title. Each competitor turned soaring through the air, but Summit and Bailey impressing with their aerial exports. Back and forth, counters and reversals gave way to Bay, delivering the art of finesse to Bailey. Austin set up for the fold, only for the Summit to catch him and deliver it into the void for the pinfall victory. What a way to start the show here.
Yeah, I mean, the way they started the show was pretty good. Now, my only question, maybe you can answer this for me. What the hell was Jake Something doing in the X Division? The guy's like 265 pounds. He's a heavyweight. Why is he even in this match? But overall, the match itself was pretty good. It was fun. and I guess it's something different. Have Jake, because Jake something has a lot of talent. I guess they figured let's put him in there. But then this is what I like. This is what I mentioned to you, that the commentating team that they have now, when they tell you something about the history of something, they tell you that, and that's it. And they go right back to the match. They did mention that Samoa Joe, and I forgot who was the other one, have won the title because even though they were over the weight limit, whatever.
Right.
So once they said that, I said, okay, so I'll give Jake something, an excuse for this one, because he don't belong in that. But overall, the match was pretty good. Chris Bay, this guy always impressed me with his stuff. I'm surprised they haven't given him wasn't he Impact X Division champion at one point?
At one point, it wasn't. This is what I say. I mean, Bay and Ace, for me, are just kind of tread water at this moment in time. I think they are championship level. But I know Chris Bay's obviously the Bullet Club, but Ace Austin has kind of just been doing the same thing as well. And I just kind of think, what's kind of next to them? Bay made me laugh with his shenanigans, the facial features and the kind of stuff that he was doing. And something has really impressed me. I do think he needs to change the name. But the power and the finish is really, really impressive. I just don't think Jake something is the main event.
I changed the name. It's funny because that's the first. I was thinking to myself, why are they still calling him Jake something? Like, why don't you put a last name to that? But they can't come up with something. So that's what it is.
Anything. Yeah, Jake, anything.
Yeah, but you know what? One guy we have not been speaking about, and Impact, they did sign him, I think a couple of months ago, as Bailey. This is Mike Bailey, that's his name? Speedball Bailey?
Mike Bailey, yeah.
Yeah, the guy, he's pretty good. I mean, and I did mention this when Josh Alexander left. I did say this on my Twitter. I said, if then losing Josh Alexander, they think replacing him with Mike Speedball Bailey, they're sadly mistaken. Now, don't get me wrong. Bailey, Speedball is pretty good. I like his whole thing. I thought in this match, they were going to give it to him, to have a wrestling match against Trey Miguel. You know how awesome that match would be with him and Trey Miguel? Well, so that's why I'm kind of bugging out why they give it to Jake something.
Well, that's saying that something's probably one that was the last on my list. I would think Bay versus Trey or Ace or, like I said, Bailey, but something you're just kind of wondering, well, they do see something in Jake at the moment. If you're going to score that match out of 5, what would you give it?
I give it a 3 3/4. This match was pretty good, even though something looked out of place because everybody in there was X Division guy. But it was a 3 3/4. I mean, it was fun. It was a 15 minutes match. Yeah, I mean, if you want 20 or 30, then you need to take Jay something out of that and put somebody like, I don't know, the X Division champion Trevor Miguel.
Yeah,
the one thing I noticed that they do a lot in pay-per-views is they do these type of matches. These 4 ways, 6 ways, whatever, to determine a number one contender, which is nothing wrong because, you start off the pay-per-view pretty well with that, They started good. I mean, I like what they did, you know what I'm saying? They started.
Well, about that, I'm going to give it 4 1/4 because, like you said, they always seem to start the show with a bit of a bang. We see an epic Eric Young promo calling himself the best all-round wrestler. This was brilliant from Eric Young, whether you agree or not. Next match, Jonah battled the nightmarish Black Taurus, who was accompanied by his decayed teammate Crazy Steve. Taurus proved he would not be a cakewalk for Jonah while plancher. The Aussie would turn the tide in his favour, controlling the pace. Taurus fought back, delivering a reverse sling blade and a crucifix bomb. He rocked Top Dog with a headbutt, but Jonah flattered him seconds later. Taurus fought back, incredibly delivered a 619 and added a twisted senton. But no longer content to absorb his opponent's offensive arsenal, Jonah delivered a Fez Press, a power bomb, and put him away from the top rope for the tsunami for the win. I mean, there's nothing maybe scarier than Jonah going to that top rope and jumping all the way down.
Yeah, I felt so bad for Black Taurus when Jonah went up the top rope. I said, he's done. I'm like, there's a big man coming at you. And mind you, Black Taurus is 235. You got a 360-pound man coming at you. But this match, let me tell you something. Since Jonah has been in the Indies, I haven't seen anybody taking Jonah to the limit like Black Taurus did. Now it's funny because a lot of people will look at Black Taurus and they figure like, oh, he's a guy from Mexico. He's a luchador. But I seen him wrestle in AAA. I seen him wrestle in Crash. And this guy, he's a powerhouse. So him and Jonah, that match, I think one of the best matches of the night because, I never seen anybody give to Jonah a hard time like Black Taurus did. Yes, he probably overpowered him because, Jonah's a bigger man. But this match, he's pretty good. And I will give this a 4. Because I did not expect this type of wrestling match. I figured Jonah was going to run him over like nothing. And Taurus gave him a run for his money.
Yeah, Taurus did great. I mean, I like these two, and I like a good big man match. Show me a better one this year between two big men. There
hasn't been. Jonah right now, and that's the thing. Jonah, as big as he is, he's gonna give you a match. Whoever he's in the ring with, it doesn't matter who it is. Jonah right now, to me, so far in the last close to 3 months, he's been the big guy. He's one of the best big guys in the business right now.
Well, I'm going to give that a 4 as well. Completely agree with you. We see Gia Miller interviewing something. Trey interrupts, and Ace and Fulton. I smell a tag match with Impact, ladies and gentlemen. And then the war between Violent by Design and Bullet Club manifests itself in a single showdown between the leaders, Eric Young and Switchblade Jay White, for the first time ever. And the other thing I like was both men went it alone as they came out for the entrance. And the King Switch controlled the first half of the bout, out wrestling Young and showing why he's one of the world's most accomplished and celebrated wrestlers. Young delivered a Death Valley driver to shift things in his favour. He shoved White off the top rope and delivered his trademark top rope elbow drop for another close 2. White recovered and delivered a Saito suplex and left Young in a heap on the apron. Fight spilled to the floor where Young established advantage, scored a near fall. EY set for the pole driver, but White countered and stacked him up. White fought out of another pole driver attempt and finally landed a half and half suplex, and then the Blade Runner finished Young off as White earned a hard fought victory. The US of J tour continues.
Yes, the US of J continues, exactly. Jay White, let me tell you something. I've been watching Jay White since I believe it was October when he came to New Japan Strong, and he has wrestled everybody. Tahiri Ishii, I think he fought Christopher Daniels not long ago. Let me tell you something. Nobody gave him a harder time. Matter of fact, when I saw Jay White this month, he wrestled one of the House of Glory guys, Ken Broway, and that match was pretty good. But no one has given this man much of a harder time like Eric Young did in this match. Eric Young pushed Jay White to the limit because there were so many close pinfalls, especially when Eric Young came off the top rope with the elbow drop. I thought he had it. This match, to me, brought everything that we expected. The two leaders from the various factions going at it. Did I think Jay White was going to lose? He could have. You know what I'm saying? Because Eric Young is that good after all these years. The guy, psychologically, in the ring, he is good, And, to me, he could have beat him. But Jay White overcame that, and I think that's probably one of his most hardest matches he's had in months. And when I give this a 4 1/4. I think it was a little better than the match before that.
Well, like I said, this shows, because a lot of people wondered, Eric Young versus Jay White. I think a lot of people disrespect Eric Young and kind of forget what he's done in the business as well, and you see the respect that Jay has got for him to make this match so competitive. I didn't even mention Jay White letting Eric Young pile drive him on the apron. You don't let anybody pile drive on the apron if you don't think they're a great worker. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, they won't, because the thing is, people forget Eric Young, he's been in this business for more than 20 years. He's one of the founders of Impact. He was part of Team Canada back in 2002 when TNA first emerged, and he was with Bobby Roode and all that. This guy is a great good worker. And again, like you said, ain't nobody's going to tell you, oh, yeah, you can do a power drive with me if he doesn't think that you're going to protect him and you're a good worker. No way in the world.
Well, when you talk about Jay as well, when we say the USA J Tour, he's got this open challenge and strong. But it's incredible. Even this weekend of No Surrender. He wrestled on Impact on Thursday in the main event. He faced Trent on the Friday. On the Strong, the same day as this, he wrestled Jay Lethal, and of course having a match with Eric Young. That is 4. I watched Jay White 4 times, and it's still I think he's such a star that I didn't think it was too much. I actually wanted more.
Yeah, I mean, he wrestled more than that because, like I said, he wrestled the weekend before that. He wrestled Camp Broadway, which a lot of people probably in the UK never heard of, but Camp Broadway is a good upcoming wrestler who was very big. He was a former House of Glory champion back then. He gave Jay White a hard time. So Jay White right now, like I said, he's like, what is him, Matt Cardona, Jonathan Gresham, these guys are going everywhere. This is why it's great to be a professional wrestling fan, because you're going to get, especially New Japan Strong, they always got some match that you did not expect is going to happen, but Jay White, like I said, that's the guy to beat right now. I can't wait to when Omega comes back and confronts him in AEW.
Well, like I said, this match itself was a great match with a good story, and telling a Jay White, we've just survived the match as well. I'm going to give it a 4 1/4. I completely agree with you how good it was. Up next, the Ring of Honor Women's and Triple H reigning defending champ Jenna Pratso in an open challenge, and former Ring of Honor competitor Miranda Ali's answered. I'm not going to lie, again, the commentary helped me out, telling me former Ring of Honor talent, but I was maybe expecting something a little bit different. We see the overzealous young Lucha baddie found herself in the defensive quickly as Virtuosa worked to overmind the entire world while she's the top of the field. Resilient challenger fought her way back into the match, repeat attempt at Miranda Wright's finisher failed her. Still, she mounted a comeback later and proves a reeling, a missing Shining Wizard, and an armbar by Pratso spelled the end for Virtuosa retained her titles. And credit to Miranda, she did look good, but I don't think the crowd were that into it because they knew Diona wouldn't lose. But I think this was still good, though.
The match is pretty good, and I mean, kudos to the commentary team because they did mention that Miranda was a finalist against Roxy for the Ring of Honor Women's title. So Miranda, at least I've seen her wrestle before. She's pretty good. I think she has wrestled in Mexico most of the time also. But, it wasn't like I saw the match and I'm like, oh, yeah, she's going to lose, to Diana. I expected a good match. It was a pretty good match between them two. There was nothing in there that I was like, oh, this is whack. I don't like it. Both ladies did what they did. Of course, Deonna Purrazzo, like I said, the woman is that good. That woman can wrestle with any type of style of wrestler in that ring. Did I knew she was going to beat her? Yeah, I knew she was going to beat her because Roxy had beat Miranda. But then again, you don't know what to expect when it comes to Impact. So it was a pretty decent women's match. I'm not going to say that it was not my cup of tea, but I like when these girls that I've seen in other places that I got to see them for 10, 15 minutes. I see them wrestle somebody else like a Deonna Purrazzo, another promotion. It makes me sit down and say, okay, let me see this. And she was, she gave Deonna Purrazzo a little run for the money, but Deonna Purrazzo is that good. I give that match at least a 4.
I'm going to give it 3 3/4 out of 5, like I said, because I don't think the finish was ever in doubt. Up next, Digital Media Championship, Jordan Grace versus Matt Cardona. The lights went out for a second. We thought, is this part of the show? And no, just technical difficulties. But we carried on, and again, Grace took the fight to the Long Island Broski early, but the veteran competitor utilised the referee's distraction, delivered a cheap shot that allowed him to seize control of his opponent. He suplexed into the corner, worked for 2 consecutive Broski boots to no avail. Grace fought back and left Cardona reeling after booting the steel chair back in the champion's face. As the Long Island Broski introduced the chair to the square circle, when a frustrated, fed up and pissed off Grace delivered a low blow that caused referee Brian Hemner to call for the bell. The match lost via DQ. Grace blasted the heel with a steel chair across the back, sending him scurrying to the sanctuary of the floor. What did you think of this? Because I thought the finish was a little bit cheap.
Yeah, it was cheap. And to be honest, it was cheap. I mean, if you're not going to take the belt away from Matt Cardona, but then have Jordan Grace get herself disqualified, it didn't make sense to me. For that, if he's gonna end that way, you should have just put it as a hardcore match, for the digital championship. Now, I mean, when I first saw Cardona beat her and he used a chair, I expected him to do that again and beat her again for the second time. But there's going to be a third match. So this is one of the matches that I wasn't really crazy about because I'm like, they're still trying to push Jordan Grace Impact as this high chick there, whatever, when you were supposed to be pushing Matt Cardona because Matt Cardona just won the match, beat Jordan Grace cheaply, you know what I'm saying? So he's got to find a way to beat her again cheaply at one night. So then to have more heat, maybe somebody will confront him or whatever. This match, I mean, honestly, it wasn't my cup of tea, to be honest, because the way it ended. So I didn't like it. It was like, I give it a 3, to be honest.
Well, this is like I said, it was fun. The match was, and they got great chemistry between the two. But Grace has just signed a new contract, and of course, is a cornerstone of the women's division and crossing over against the men. She has legit power. And Cardona, like you talked about, his heel work is money. He's just so goddamn unlikable that he could do this for a very long time and make as much money as he wants, Yeah,
and that's the same thing. Like I said, Cardona right now, but the way they ended that match, Cardona right now is the hottest heel right now in professional wrestling because he's a heel in Game Changer Wrestling. He's a heel in NWA. And NWA's worse because they're making him look like he's trying to tarnish NWA, and he's saying, no, I'm trying to bring NWA from the dark ages or whatever. This is sometimes I question Impact's booking. Like, if she's the cornerstone of your women's division, and he's the hottest heel in the industry, then let her lose again, but this time in some other tricky way, and then you have another match where, if you're gonna bring in chairs, you're gonna bring in whatever, then the next match should be a hardcore match. I mean, anything goes,
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm going to give that match 3.5 anyway, because just for the effort. Tasha Steele's interview backstage, she said confident is her middle name. Never knew that. Eddie Edwards was then found attacked. And then up next is the Impact Tag Team Championship match. The Good Brothers versus the Brothers of Destiny. We've talked about why this match is so important. I'll ask you a question though, and I think the answer. Were you surprised the first ever meeting between the two took place on an Impact special as opposed to a New Japan show?
Was I surprised? No. I'm going to tell you why. Because I think Impact was already teasing it when they brought in Jay White last summer. And the fact that same month later, the Guerrillas of Destiny approached the Guerrillas of Destiny at a New Japan event, Resurgence. So I said to myself, they're going to do this in Impact, in an Impact show, because, Impact right now was trying to bring in all these stars from New Japan, for the ratings, for the TV show, whatever. But the only thing that I was kind of disappointed was that they didn't do it earlier than now. But then again, probably New Japan figured like, look, let's do this, long-term storyline, which it worked because, they made us wait and it was worth it. That's the way I look at it. I mean, I wish they would have done it Bound for Glory for the simple fact because they teased Bullet Club logo, and when it turned out it was Hikuleo and Chris Bay. Not to take anything away from Hikuleo, because Hikuleo has improved the Young Gun, and Chris Bay, he's pretty good, but you want the real Bullet Club. You don't want, a cheap version.
No, I would have to agree with you there. But, well, it's like I said, the dream match we wait for. Good Brothers versus the G.O.D. And Tama Tonga started hot for his team, taking the fight to both Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson. But the latter raked his former friend's eyes, and the champions wrestled control of the bout. But Tonga finally tagged Tangaloa into the match, and he unloaded on the heel, sparking a babyface comeback. As the action broke down, Tonga caught Anderson with a hip toss neckbreaker, but in a side suplex neckbreaker combo to Tonga had a challenge in the need of a spark, Aloha broke up a magic killer. The action broke down once more. All four competitors line. Tonga delivered a rolling DVD and a big splash, but couldn't keep the machine gun down. Chris Bay appeared, finding apparently inadvertent distraction that allowed Gallows to deliver a choke slam to Low on the floor. Jay White sneaked in and delivered a Blade Runner, and the Good Brothers retained their titles from there. As the commentary team of Tom Rawold asked what we had just witnessed, White gave them an answer as he, Bay, Anderson and Gallows united for 2 sweet over the fallen Tonga. I'll ask you, before I ask about the match, why was this moment so important, and what are the ramifications for what Jay White did, and why does it matter?
Well, do you got enough time?
Well, briefly.
Okay. This has been going on. This whole beef has been going on for a while. Now, a lot of people are saying, what beef are you talking about? About 2 years ago, we know that Evil joined Bullet Club, right? Evil had a match with, oh my God, what's his name? Shit. With Kenta at the G1 Climax. The ending of that match saw that Evil hit a low blow on Kenta to move on to the tournament. Jay White did not like that. Jay White was like, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Evil responded back on Twitter, so it was a back and forth stuff, and people thought that, the possibility there's going to be another civil war between the Bullet Club, between Jay White and Evil. That never happened. Then let's move forward at New Japan Strong of last year before the New Japan Strong, I don't remember what event it was, but Evil decided to do a subgroup in Bullet Club called the House of Torture. Jay White was against it, saying, why the hell is this going on? I'm the leader, blah, blah, blah. Tama Tonga responded, well, you ain't the leader if you're not here in Japan, while you're in America, blah, blah. So they kept going back and forth. I had a feeling that something was going to happen with Jay White and the Bullet Club because he had not gone back to Japan since God knows when. So he's been like over 8 or 9 months in the States and whatnot. Then to top it off, the Bullet Club shows up at Impact a couple of days before No Surrender. God Gallows and Carl Anderson trademarks BC. Now I'm saying, okay, so they trademark BC. Are they going to join together, whatever? Now here's the problem. With this betrayal now, with Jay White now bringing in the Good Brothers, who were the founding fathers of the Bullet Club, now this leads to where does the Guerrilla Destiny stand with the Bullet Club? Are they now split up? Are they part of the Bullet Club in Japan, but they're now the part of the Bullet Club here in America? Jay White, a couple of days before No Surrender, said that he wanted to establish Bullet Club again here in the United States and whatnot. Now, mind you, he showed up at AEW, and Adam Cole said something that made a lot of sense. He said, once you join Bullet Club, you're Bullet Club for life. So I don't know if he's trying to do now a America version again, like the Elite did back then, and then you have the Japan version over there. I don't know. But this right now, where does Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa stand with the Bullet Club? There's been back and forth since this happened. We don't know. So it looks like the Bullet Club is divided right now in 2 factions.
So for this to happen on an Impact show is massive. The equivalent of, on if the New Day went to do an Impact show and they split up on that show, so to speak, it's kind of like what's happened there is affecting New Japan. It's not the fact of they're just wrestling a match and nothing happens. This is going to tell the story of New Japan for the next, like I said, long-term storytelling, 6 months to a year or so.
But yeah, pretty much, because this reminds me of what happened back in 2018, where you had the Elite, who was part of the Bullet Club, then you had the regular Bullet Club. Now, if you remember what happened in San Francisco in 2018, when the firing squad, who was Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Haku, went and destroyed the whole damn Elite and whatnot. And because at that time, you had Cody feuding with Kenny. So they were kind of split. So now with all this happening, this is going to affect what's going to happen in Japan and whatnot. Okay. We know yet. Now, that I know of, the New Japan Cup is starting, I think a couple of days from now. So Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa are going to be in Japan and whatnot. So they're not going to be here, they're not going to be here to confront the Good Brothers yet. So we don't know as they go again, long-term storyline. Maybe they'll come back.
The thing is, even about contracts, because at the moment, I'm pretty sure they're not signed to New Japan, or at least, I don't know if it's Tamatonga or Tamaloa, but one of them isn't signed with New Japan. They're kind of a free agent.
Tamatonga signed with New Japan. He did put January 30th. He put that he was a free agent, but that he signed with New Japan. So they still signed with New Japan.
And the other interesting thing as well is the Good Brothers 2-year Impact deal comes up in June. So you wonder if they're putting into place something that, even if the Good Brothers were to leave Impact, there's still been a good working relationship, or would they sign an Impact contract and be able to work with New Japan? So the Good Brothers themselves are putting them in a situation, like you said, especially with this merch, to be there. But as the match itself, retaining the championship, this was a great match, I would think. This is what you get when you get proper tag teams. I don't think the Good Brothers Impact run has been great. I think it would be fair to say, but this is probably the most motivated I have seen them in Impact.
And the reason, if you think about it, their championship reign has not been great because of the lack of tag teams that they have there. This match here was already a year in the making. Because remember, all this started with the Good Brothers when Omega showed up at Impact last year and they were wearing Bullet Club merch. And they were like, y'all not guys are not Bullet Club, and they started calling themselves Bullet Club, So the fact that like you said, it's true. I haven't seen Gallows and Anderson wrestle like this as they were in Japan and whatnot. And the fact that, you had Anderson and Tamatonga, the two main guys who've been running their mouths against each other, were hitting each other with everything. I mean, that was strong style. You want strong style? And for your fans in your podcast, you want strong style wrestling? That was it. Strong style right there. You couldn't ask for anything better than that. And the beautiful ending, okay, out of all this, okay, is, yes, the beautiful ending of Jay White turning. But look who Jay White hit the Blade Runner to. It was Tamatonga. It wasn't Tonga Loa. It was Tamatonga. He hit that Blade Runner, and that makes the betrayal even more bigger, because Tamatonga was the one who brought in Jay White to become the leader of Bullet Club when they attacked Okada years ago. So it's just this. Let me tell you something, James. This was beautifully done. Beautifully done.
What would you score that out of 5 as well?
What? Out of 5? Shit. Are we only doing 5? Shit. I give that shit a 6. First time ever here, a 6 in a tag team match. You cannot ask nothing more than that. And if they're having another match, whether it's in Impact or in New Japan, it's gonna get. Oh my God! I can't even wait to have that. I want another rematch.
Like we said, they might get another rematch because Impact announced as well Sacrifice would only be 2 weeks away. Yes, a very WWE move of a special 2 weeks after a special. But we move on, and the Knockouts Championship match, Mickie James versus Tasha Steelz. And as we said, the uber confident Steelz controlled the match, appearing to be well on the way to victory. When some trash talking directed at family ignited a fire in Mickie that led to a big neck breaker on the floor. Feels like any great prospective champion scouted her opponent's offense and left her laying as momentum returned to her size, and refusing to allow frustration to set in. Steelz remained focused until James bit her, catching her off guard. The champion fired up, kicking Steelz low and taking her down with a seated senton. She added a mitt kick to Savannah Evans, knocking Steelz second off the apron. Steelz delivered a cutter in time for Chelsea Green to make her presence felt, and she eliminated Evans from the equation. Green's presence was felt late as James sent Steelz into her and then rolled the Barika Badass up for the pinfall victory. What were your thoughts on this?
I was disappointed. I was expecting I wanted Tasha Steelz to win this match, but I'm gonna be fair and say the match was pretty good. Did I expect Savannah Evans to interfere? Yes. Now, this Chelsea Green, Mickie James thing, I'm telling you this right now, there's going to be a betrayal. coming a mile. I see this a mile away
Yeah.
because I think what Impact wants is a Chelsea Green versus Mickey James. They figure like a Tasha Steele versus Chelsea Green is not a match that people really want to see. You know what I'm saying? So in regards to Tasha Steele, she'll probably get another opportunity down the line for the title. I don't know. It may be either with Chelsea Green or Mickey James. The match is all right. It could have been a little better, but once I saw Chelsea Green, I was like, okay, she's going to interfere some way or the other because Savannah Evans kept, hanging around the ring area. So I'll give this probably a 3 1/4. I think it could be a little better, but we already know that the whole thing that they're trying to set up is a Chelsea Green versus Mickey James. And I'm telling you right now, and I'm saying it to your podcast, Chelsea Green's going to turn to Mickey James, and it's going to happen either this week or the following week.
Yeah, I think without that, like I said, the biggest story is going on with Green, especially with Cardona as well. Green might turn to the dark side. Really fun match. Steels will be champion, I would say, by the end of the year. And we just talked about the Good Brothers run. What a run this is for Mickey. Even with Steels, maybe it wasn't the greatest matchup, but again, she's still delivering, and we've kind of got Green and even Perazzo afterwards to something to look forward to.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this a 3 3/4 out of 5 because the effort was really, really good between them. We then found out Eddie Edwards wasn't clear to compete, so Willie Mack joined Impact. Speaking of joining, Mars joined the commentary for the Impact World title match, W. Morrissey versus Moose. And I love the start of this with those two guys just running into each other. Talk about the unstoppable force versus the immovable object. And we see Morrissey struggling to get Moose up with a powerbomb as well. Surviving a spine buster through the timekeeper's table. Morrissey then hit a powerbomb on the apron and said, I fucking got it that time. Side, Moose escapes another powerbomb. Rock Morrissey with a drop kick. An exchange of chops follows. Each competitor turns, lighting up the chest. Moose slipped out of his opponent's grasp, delivered his third spear of the match, but Morrissey's arm was under the rope, forcing the referee to stop the count. His move, but of course Moose's foot was under the rope as well. We see a massive superplex pop the crowd and resulting in a chance of this is awesome. But Moose kicked up, prepared for another spear, then he landed it and scored a clean win in the center of the ring. But what a fucking match.
Yeah, that was a fucking two big guys hitting each other. It's funny because I remember we did a couple of podcasts and I mentioned to you what would be a good match would be Morrissey versus Moose. And they delivered. Two big guys. I mean, I was surprised that Moose was able to put Morrissey through a table. But he did hit his freaking head against the gate. And I was shocked that he even got up from that. But the match was very good. I will give this at least 4 1/4 because they did bring it to the point. I mean, two big guys. You're not going to get a lot of wrestling skills from two big guys. But they pounded each other. They did everything. I mean, the only thing that was missing was the kitchen sink. But these guys went at it. It was the match was worth it. And this is why, in a way, I know that Moose's next challenge is nowhere near the caliber of Morrissey. And I think they were smart of putting Cardona in a 3-way, on Hard to Kill, so we could get the match we got on No Surrender between Morrissey and Moose. So it was worth it. Again, and like I said, the whole storylines, how they built this pay-per-view was fucking great. Okay, and I don't say this much Impact, but this was good. The whole show was pretty good, except with the Jordan Greens and Mark Cardona. But the way they set up these storylines and the way this show was going, it was good.
Well, like you said, it's a motivated Morrissey, and ever since Impact putting performances, you think, like you said, two big guys. This was never going to be Steamboat versus Flair, but the two beat the crap out of each other from the opening bell. Each strike sounding awesome. Two big men going toe to toe. Like I said, really, really great stuff. I'm going to give that 4 3/4 out of 5. I never thought I'd enjoy a Moose Morrissey match as much, but he delivered what we wanted when you said the two big guys. Were you surprised that the Team Impact versus Honor No More match was the main event?
No, I wasn't, because if you think about it, that again, Impact did the right thing, because if you put in like in the before the world title, if we're gonna do that type of ending, and if you do the world title, it's not the world title. I don't think the world title would have overshadowed it, but people will forget about it. You know what I'm saying? So them doing that, it reminds me of the NWO versus WCW when Nash and Hall first showed up at WCW, and then you had Luger, Savage. They put that as the main event because it's oh my God, it's part of the company. The company's on the line, that type of thing. So they did the right thing. To me, that was a smart move. I was worried about that because I'm like, where are they going to put that? They better put that shit in the main event. But that, yes, you got the world title and whatnot, but you could put the world title before that so people could enjoy what it was going to happen. Now, I mean, let's go on to before I say anything about the match. But.
Well, like I said, no, but it's an excellent point, and that's the reason why people may be wondering why it was. And like I said, when it's two wrestling companies each other, it means everything in the world. Like I said, we had Mac, Rhino, Rich Swann, Chris Sabin, and Steve Macklin on one side, Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, PCO, Kenny King, and Vincent on the other. And a win for the Invading Hills, and they would be allowed to stay in the company. A loss, and they would be gone. And the early portion of this match, was dominated by back and forth action. Neither team able to maintain an extended advantage. Distraction by Maria at ringside allowed Bennett to deliver death, and Honor No More took control, whether isolating Sabin or Swann. The Hills dominated the action. An errant dive by PCO stunned him. Now Swann sang back into the match. The dive that PCO took, like we said, 57-year-olds you mentioned, and to suicide outside, just hitting Matt, is just crazy for the guy.
Yep. That man is a nutcase.
He really is, and the former X-Division champion. Yeah. Unloaded on Bennett, Taven, and PCO, dominated the competition. Down from there, with tags becoming irrelevant as the chaos reigning supreme. King sent Macklin to the ref, and dives ensued. PCO delivered the Deaminator, and Vincent followed with Red Rum, punishing Swann and Mac. I'm sure on either one of the dives, Swann's face just gets squashed.
Yeah. PCO landed, and he landed right on Swann's face, and you could tell by his look. I'm like, oh, his whole body, that was bad.
It was. Well, PCO again, delivered a moonsault from the top rope to the massive competitors on the floor, and all of a sudden, Eddie Edwards rushed to the ring, and after a moment or two of teases, when it looked like Rhino was going to spear Marilla instead, it was a kendo stick shock, and a shocking King then pinned Rhino to secure the win and ensure the faction remained a part of the Impact roster. Now, before I get your thoughts on the match, we already mentioned the signs towards Eddie Edwards, but he was kind of not happy with Macklin being on there, and we've seen a lot of him. Maybe we're wondering what side he was on, and he has chosen this one. What did you think of this main event?
Oh man, it delivered. It delivered, and it's funny because you're saying that Eddie Edwards wasn't happy with Macklin being the team. I didn't see it that way. I didn't see it that way because the fact that I'm like, okay, I thought Macklin was going to be the traitor. I thought Macklin was going to be part of the team, and then some way, somehow in the match, he was going to cause them to lose the match. But once I saw Eddie Edwards taken out, and they brought in Willie Mack, I said, okay, maybe there's no how you call it, betrayal or whatever. Maybe Willie Mack gets pinned or somebody, weak link in the team, which I felt Willie Mack was the weak link in the team. So I'm like, okay. But once I saw Eddie Edwards come back, I was like, wait a minute, this don't look right. I'm like, okay. And then he's over telling Rhino get up to score, and then he hits him with outside yell. Once I saw that, he came back, I'm like, oh my God, Eddie Edwards turning it. And do I think that's the right move? Yeah, because one, he's considered the heart and soul of Impact, right? What better way than to have the guy who's the heart and soul of Impact betray the company? They calls him the heart and soul. And what people forget is that Eddie Edwards was part of Ring of Honor for many, many years. Yeah. So, now my question is he going to turn back to his regular self instead of this hardcore type of guy? or is he going to continue being the same guy that he is hardcore type? And the best part that he did, that I like what he did, was he ripped the Impact logo off his jacket and threw it over the ring. And it's funny because through Fight TV, they kept after the Impact logo came out, they still was recording. You see the cameraman having recording the Impact logo that he ripped off his jacket. I mean, it was it was a perfect way to end a pay-per-view with this. I mean, the fact that they put in the thing that if they lose, they got to leave. Impact is not stupid leaving all those guys leave. You know what I'm saying? Because you could run with that. You could run with any of those guys right now. Now, the question is, I know PCO is signed with Impact. I don't know about the rest of the other guys, if they're working on their handshake deals, whatever. But right now, Impact could run with what they got. Like I said, they better run with this. And whether the next pay-per-view is not that great, you got Rebellion coming up, and you could use this. You got Jonathan Gresham become the leader of that whole group. You know what I'm saying? Because he's the Ring of Honor World Champion. He was taken out.
Well, we've even got, because we were going to get onto Impact in a minute with Moose, but Moose saying to the Ring of Honor guys, or no more, you leave me, don't come for me, leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. Will we get a champion versus champion situation? Will Moose and Gresham, and what side will either man be on? Because Moose, of course, has got a history in Ring of Honor. But before we move on to the last, like you said, the after seeing these guys and On and No More, I think Tavern upside. But again, this was fantastic main event. The crowd seemed to be into Ring of Honor or PCO more than the majority of the Impact guys, which made me a bit surprised. But I think I will have to give this 5 out of 5 because this was just really, really good stuff. And like you talk about there, the image of Eddie Edwards ripping the Impact logo off and it's been seen on the floor, thrown away like rubbish. It was an excellent image and a great thing to mention as well. So 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I'll score it a 5 out of 5 because this was greatly produced. This is, I mean, who expected Eddie Edwards to turn on them? I mean, I didn't even see this. I thought Macklin was going to be the one. He figured, let me take advantage. Alexander's no longer in the team. And overall, the pay-per-view itself. I mean, again, like I said, I don't usually put Impact in high praises, but the way they built this was beautiful. It was beautiful. Now, can they run with that ball and continue doing it? We got to see what way it goes.
Well, that's the question. Well, so match of the night for me is going to be the main event. For you is going to be, like I said, GOD versus the Good Brothers, because first ever 6 out of 5.
Exactly. 6. That was the 6.
MVP of the night for me, I'm going to say Morrissey and Moose, because those two big guys, they could just be boring with lockups and, whatever it is, but but then again, a bit like the entire roster at the moment is just trying its hardest as well,
Yeah, well, my MVP, and you're going to find this weird, my MVP is Eric Young. And the reason I say that, I know a lot of people expected Eric Young to lose quickly to Jay White because they figure, oh, this Jay White, because, the name, the where he's at, championship competition, whatever. But Eric Young, after all these years, that man can still deliver a good match. I mean, you may not agree with it, but I think, I give credit to a guy who, he probably could have won another 5-10 minutes with Jay White.
Yeah, that's an excellent pick. That really, really good. Like I said, and Eric Young, Jay White. This show really delivered again. Like I said, from top to bottom, really, really good. And I know we always kind of maybe disagree what we score a few hours or a show, but I'm going to have to give this a 9 out of 10 because maybe kind of like, no major titles or something like that changed hands, but something major happened here, like I said, with the Bullet Club and the card overall. It was just really good. He wants to make you watch more Impact. Well,
you're going to be surprised what I'm about to say because I think this was a 10 out of 10.
Whoa.
It was well, I'm telling you, it was well produced. Let me tell you something. And I told my roommate this. I'm like, the Bullet Club and Good Brother match, the GOD versus, better not be disappointed. They did not disappoint. The main event did not disappoint. The world title didn't. The only match that I felt that maybe they should have put at the pre-show was the Matt Cardona against Jordan Grace.
Yeah.
Because the way it ended.
Yeah.
You know? Other than that, I mean, the way that, and I'm saying it because, like I said, I don't watch Impact. And like I said, I started watching Impact again. The weekly show was because of Hard to Kill. But the way they set everything up, and now mind you, when I watch the weekly show, I skip a lot of matches because I'm not interested. You know what I'm saying? But the way it was produced and the way it was set up, this is one of the best shows so far as pay-per-view. Not better than Wrestle Kingdom because Wrestle Kingdom is the bomb. But it's there. It's in the top 2 already. You know what I'm saying? Now, my thing is, you got to do, this is what I'm saying, Impact would be so great if they do stuff consistently. Stop being cheap. Pay the fucking wrestlers who making your company what it is today. Because, I mean, you could still bring in Josh Alexander. You could have still brought him up, which I doubt he's going to come back. But if you're going to bring somebody, you got to, right now, Jonah could be the guy that could challenge Moose. You know what I'm saying? Instead of him challenging somewhere else. He's the hottest heel. You can put a heel versus heel, you know? But
this is the interesting thing as well, like you said, because they can only go from downhill. It's even like the main event. It's the closest thing that we've had since WCW and WWE, like the Invasion. And we know how that feud started. So it's all about the ending. Like you said, Impact have built so much good. I mean, you're giving it, dude, if you're giving it 10 out of 10, it means they're good at the moment. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think back in my mind, I'm worried, how can they fuck it up with the next year? This should be beautifully building towards Bound for Glory in October. Like we said, we've got Rebellion in April, which will be.
That's what I'm saying. Like right now, they cannot afford to fuck this up. And I'm gonna tell you that because right now they have the ball in their hand. They got at least 6 wrestlers. They came from another company. Okay, Matt Taven, former Ring of Honor World Champion. PCO, former World Heavyweight Champion. Kenny King, former Tag Team Champion. So you got a bunch of guys there that if you put them in a match with anybody from Impact, you could have a great match. You know what I'm saying? So now you got them in a group. Now, can you bring somebody in there that's gonna be like Sting did with NWO? You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be the leader because you just lost Eddie Edwards. Eddie Edwards now is part of I don't know more. Like I say, they cannot fuck this up.
Well, the thing is as well is again, like you said, if we knew Alexander versus Moose was going to be for the world title at Rebellion, and then you can build up, like we said, what we've got with Ron No More and the Bullet Club, it would be next level excitement. And it's still, like I said, really up there. And I think the next time we'll do an Impact review, we'll do Rebellion as a full review, and then look at Sacrifice as we did today with Hard to Kill. I think it's really, really well. And like I said, it's been good. But the Impact, we get the no surrender out because a couple of things happened on February 24th. First off, we found...
I haven't seen it, but go ahead.
Right,
Tell me what happened.
First off, unfortunately, the next challenger for Moose at Sacrifice will be Heath.
I did not want to give your fans the news. That's why I said the next challenger, because it's a fucking joke. This is what I'm talking about. How you go from having W. Morris saying, a guy who gave you a good match, to bring it Heath Slater? Are you kidding me? Anyway.
Well, and also at Sacrifice, we are going to get Jay White versus the returning Alex Shelley. And
that's going to be a good one.
We see Jay White cut a promo backstage, and he said it was strictly business and nothing personal. He said the same about turning on Gorillas of Destiny. It was nothing personal. He just didn't measure up to his standards of the betterment of the Bullet Club. He said he was the best leader the Bullet Club ever had. Carl and Gallows, who were in full Bullet Club outfits now, cut a promo about being the best tag team and being Bullet Club originals. Wow.
He said his business is nothing personal. He's the greatest Bullet Club leader. Wow. What? Wow. See, this is what I cannot wait till they show up in Japan. Cannot wait.
And then finally, why Eddie? Why? Said Eddie couldn't no one could lay hands on Eddie Edwards until he explained what he'd done. And he basically, around 2 years to Impact Wrestling bringing an outside talent into the company to compete for its world title. We recalled Rich Swann failing at his job and losing the championship to Kenny Omega. Then Moose and Sami Callihan losing in title matches. He did pin Omega in a tag match, and he thought his opportunity was coming until it didn't. It went to Josh Alexander. He realised then that Impact had honour no more. Alicia Edwards interrupted her husband, imploring her to think about family and Impact, and the wrestling fans supported him. He told her the future together is up to her, but honour no more is his family now.
Wow, that's a good promo.
It makes sense.
Yeah. Yo, wow, Impact is making sense?
I know.
Wow,
it's crazy.
That's great. I forgot that he picked Kenny Omega in a tag scene.
You and I moaned about it and go, why has Eddie not had a chance since?
Yeah, I can't remember that. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. But that's beautiful. You see what I'm talking about? Who is writing this? Did they hire somebody that we don't know? Or this Lance Storms? Because I know Lance Storms is producing that, right?
That's what I'm saying. Wow. Storm's there, Scott D'Amore, whoever's doing it at the moment, it's perfect.
Oh, my God. Are we going to be, well, I think we're going to be doing a lot of Impact stuff now. Because this shit is unbelievable. I'm like, and by the way, everybody, I'm not drunk. I gave them a 10 on their paper.
That's what I'm saying. It is great stuff at the moment, and it's such a joyous experience, especially how many Impacts we've done. And I know how harsh we can sound sometimes with Impact or how people perceive it, but it just shows at this moment in time, it is really, really good stuff. And it's not just one storyline that's keeping us invested in Impact. It's all three of them.
If only, listen, even that Mickey James, Chelsea Green storyline, you know it's going to happen. It's bound to happen because, again, Matt Cardona, he's in the dark side. His wife is going to follow. I don't know if you saw Game Changer Wrestling where they did the GCW The World, where Chelsea Green ended up, I don't know if they have it on YouTube, but ended up looking like she's going to be with Joey Janela. And she supposedly she hit a low blow to Matt Cardona. Everybody thought she was turning on him. And Matt Cardona had like a ball protector. Yeah, beautiful storyline. Beautiful. I'm telling you. So that's why I laugh. And when I see Chelsea Green all happy, hugging Mickey James, I'm like, yeah, she going to turn in your ass, and you're not even going to see it coming. And she may be the next Women's Impact champion, you know?
Like you said, it's so interesting times. Like we've got the only one at the moment that needs to be sorted out, incredibly, is the Moose World title and who challenges for that. But like you said, they can sort that out because Jonah in Impact as well said he wants proper challengers and he's going to face PCO at Sacrifice. So again, that is a match.
That's going to be a crazy-ass match. Because PCO's a nut. So you're going to have... And PCO's not going to back off either. That's and you know what? Again, this is why I say that Josh Alexander exit of the company will make Moose title reign a little weak because now if you don't give him Jonah, that you're giving guys like Heath Slater, who Heath Slater has beaten to become the number one contention. So it's just, I don't know if that's the writing on the wall. That Moose may lose the belt soon. And if he's saying he doesn't want, I don't know, more to go after him, they're going to go after him. They're going to go after him. I won't be surprised if Matt Taven challenges him, which would be a great match, him and Taven, because Taven could wrestle. Maybe Mike Bennett or Kenny King. So any of those guys could give Moose a challenge, but Heath Slater? What? No.
Well, like we said, apart from that, really interesting times. And I will say, set in stone will be the Impact Rebellion review. And then if Sacrifice really knocks our socks off, we'll see what happens there. But that is basically it for with Impact. And yeah, it's actually really, really good. And if you've not seen anything, just check it out. Whether it will be just listen to the podcast for the reviews or actually looking at clips on YouTube or going onto the Impact app in itself. And don't forget, we're across all social media, Twitter at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR JR. And Ultimate One, where can they find you? Where can they listen to you and watch and all the other information?
You go find me at Chokeslam Wrestling Report on the YouTube channel. Also, I got an audio podcast that I drop off on Sundays. You can find it at Amazon, Spotify, any audio podcast platforms that you guys like to listen to your favorite shows. And I usually put it on my Twitter, my link on my apparel store. Check that out. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Well, WNR also on Facebook and Instagram as well, across all Google platforms. So listen, email to WNR at gmail.com and YouTube at WNR Podcast, where all latest clips and podcasts got the same SoundCloud on your phone, and also Spotify and iTunes. We can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. We have had the return of the Ultimate One, and man, I've got to say, it's been so much fun having you back.
Thank you. Again, guys, No Surrender was a 10. A 10. Remember, I said that. So in case you are thinking that I'm drunk or something, no, it was a 10. If you have not seen No Surrender, trust me, you want to hear this review, it's worth watching. It's worth the money.
Right. Well, I will say as well, like I said, you'll definitely be back in April. I don't know what your plans are for the next month or the next few weeks. But
no, we're not. Don't try to escape from me, buddy. We do.
I'm saying.
We're not just doing the rebellion for April. You forget. There's an AEW pay-per-view coming up in a couple of weeks. Matter of fact, next weekend.
Well,
so I will see you.
If you let me finish, sir. If you let me finish, the WNR team is getting together next weekend for AEW Revolution pre-show. And I was going to ask if you want to not only get back together with Monty and Jaxie, but meet Gina for the first time and take part in our AEW Revolution pre-show.
What day is that? The 12th?
Next Saturday.
Okay, you got it. You down. You
Yeah,
got me, buddy.
Right. There we go. You've heard it here first. You've heard it here, everybody. The Ultimate One is going to rejoin Team WNR. Like I said, Jaxie, Gina, and Monty with myself for AEW Revolution. So that should be the biggest show in WNR history. So no pressure.
No, ain't no pressure over here, buddy. You know I speak to my mind. So now that Impact has done their show to attend, let's see if AEW can top that.
Well, we're going to look at AEW Dynamite and the campaign leading up to it and have so much fun there. But it's been fun today. And, of course, I was James Rowlands and I was joined by the brilliant Ultimate One. Again, man, we can't let this happen again.
No. It was, listen, and I want to apologize because, like I said, I got booked. Like, I had so much stuff going on. I was going to wrestling shows. I was doing a lot of stuff. And the timing, is crazy. But I'm definitely will be in the WNR podcast team next weekend. We could do this.
Without doubt. Like I said, it was a pleasure having you on. Thanks for being on, and thanks everybody for listening.
Anytime.
Like I said, always a pleasure.
All right.
All right, everybody, take care, and thanks for listening. Bye.